There have been many celebrities who have lent their names to the support of a disease or a medical cause. However, relatively few come to mind of those who are known as much for their humanitarian work as they are for their art. Michael J. Fox and Parkinson's disease, Marlo Thomas and children's illnesses, Elizabeth Taylor and AIDS, and now Kathy Bates as LE&RN Spokesperson fighting lymphedema and lymphatic diseases. Rather than running through the litany of reasons I confidently make this case, I'd like to show you a short introduction into the efforts of our honoree.
Please give a warm welcome to Oscar winner Kathy Bates.
Please welcome the one and only Kathy Bates.
Probably notice I'm wearing what we call a compression sleeve.
The esteemed actor and now my friend Kathy Bates.
All of us who've had the courage to speak about our personal battles with lymphedema are making a real difference all across the US, even in Russia, Australia, and India. Our stories are giving others hope as they realize they're not alone.
It is probably one of the most underdiagnosed and underreported syndromes in all of medicine.
I want to get AMA, I want to get CDC, I want to get the scientists, I want to get the researchers, I want to get everybody in the same room, maybe in the silo at the NIH, because my feeling after hearing everybody talk about this is it's this huge open system that affects everything in the body.
10 million Americans suffer from LE. That's more than MS, muscular dystrophy, AIDS, Parkinson's, and ALS combined.
If I can use my celebrity for something real, then that's what I want to do. My friend Emma has lymphedema like me, only much, much worse than I. She's a warrior, and she's my inspiration. So today, I want to dedicate my star to Emma and her family.
For me personally, the biggest impact she's had on me is hope. I now feel, and I now have hope that in my lifetime, there might be a cure for lymphedema, and that's something I haven't felt in a very long time.
Please welcome my friend, my colleague, the indomitable, the unsinkable, Miss Kathy Bates.
You compare me to Liz Taylor. This turned out to be a very emotional night for me. It's something to stand on a Broadway stage again after 36 years. I did a play called Night Mother. And Marcia Norman's here tonight. Been thinking about that a lot. I know we've talked a lot about lymphedema, and I may be repeating some of the things that Bill has already said. What I love about Bill is that he's just so incredibly passionate. He's been like Johnny Appleseed. He runs all over the globe. We have places now in Sudan and Brazil and India and Japan. It's amazing, the people that we've been able to reach because of Bill. He gets a hold of people, he gets a tooth around your ankle and you're in trouble, I'll tell you that. have to thank a lot of people, and first of all, Mark Armstrong. What a great guy. And Coleman Clark, our deputy director. It's been a marvelous evening, insane, marvelous evening. I forgot how insane New York can be. I have to thank a lot of people, and I want to thank the entire benefit committee, and especially my new friend, Sandra Lee, who we wouldn't be friends if Bill hadn't introduced her. She came very quickly to an event, and then she got breast cancer, and then we kept communicating, and we've become friends, and she now has come along with my best friend, one of my dearest friends, Billy D. Michelle, and they've co-chaired this evening's event. So I just have to thank you so much, Sandra, for your loyalty and your generosity. You have a huge heart, and of course my dear friend Billy D. Michelle, who actually met me backstage one night after Night Mother, and wrote me a thank you, and then he came back. He's a gorgeous Italian man. I've always been partial to that country. Greece is good too. Anyway, so he invited me out to dinner, and I went, and we told each other our entire life story at a table at Joe Allen's that we can still remember to this day. We closed the joint, and I was dating a man who was to be my husband. We were walking back home down across 44th Street and close to 10th Avenue, and I remember thinking, oh dear God, how am I going to explain this to that guy at home? Because I knew that Billy and I would be friends forever. And we have been. And he's been incredibly loyal and generous and kind. And I just don't think I'd be standing here tonight in front of you all if he hadn't been in my life. And I want to thank many friends who loaned their names tonight, some who couldn't be here, but among them, Jessica Lang and Terrence McNally and Tom Curdahay, who is here with us tonight. Terrence is another one. If he hadn't come into my life, I wouldn't have had the career I've had. With Frankie and Johnny, Bill Coldman came to see the play and recommended me to Rob Reiner, and so if it hadn't been for Terrence, then none of that would have happened, and so I'm terribly grateful to him. My friend Patricia Clarkson, we had so much fun on 6 Feet Under, Whoopi Goldberg, Gail King, who's been lovely to loan her name, and Nathan Lane and Devlin Elliott, Judith Light, John Lithgow, Sarah Paulson, I love working with Sarah, and Holland Taylor. What an incredible actress. If you've never seen her do Anne, you have to see it. It's one of the most amazing one-woman shows I've ever seen about Ann Richards. And my new friend, Sam Rockwell, we're in the new, I have to plug the movie. He's delightful. We did a movie with Clint Eastwood. We wrapped it in August, and it's coming out December 13th. Warner Brothers is very excited, and so are we. And Sam is just the loveliest man and so fun. And my dear, dear friend, Peter Roth, who's the head of Warner Brothers Television, we call him the hugger. I met him years and years ago when I started working on some shows over there, and he's just, I'm always amazed at the really great, good people that are in this business, because you hear so much about the other, the ones that are difficult to work with, but Peter's just amazing, and my darling friend, Alfred Woodard, and my new friend, Stephanie Germanotta, or as you know her, Lady Gaga. So she very graciously offered her name as well. I want to thank all these insane actors. Oh my God. I can't wait for the second act. It's just astounding. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Matt Fraser, who we worked together on Freak Show on American Horror Story. And I loved seeing Mark Tierney up here. We're both breast cancer survivors. And I love Jesse's play, Jesse Eisenberg, and Justin Long, and Patrick Wilson, and his wife, Agmara, and Justin Loop from Harry's Law days. And it's just so many wonderful artists. And I'm so grateful that you all are here to support us. As Bill told you, I am the national spokesperson for the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, and we are dedicated to raising money for awareness, education, and research for a disease that affects upward of 10 million Americans and 240 worldwide. And when I first met Bill and he gave me those statistics, I was already pissed off that I had lymphedema. I mean, really pissed off. I'm grateful to my surgeons, but they're lucky to be alive, I'll tell you. Oh, Lord. Okay. So this is kind of poetic, but here we go. We in the arts, I think you would agree, we all make magic to create works that hopefully are so realistic that, and I believe this, we have the power with magnificent plays like Marcia's to change hearts and minds. I remember, and I hope I'm not taking too long, but I have to tell this wonderful story. We were worried when we were doing the play that we were going to promote suicide. And in fact, it was just the opposite. Marcia got an amazing letter from a woman whose husband had killed himself 17 years before. And she said, "Thanks to your play, I realize it's not my fault. And I can move on." And I felt that when you shared that letter with us, I felt even if it's just that one woman that we've touched her life, it just means so much. So we work to create magic as artists. And it's a little different with LE&RN because we work in the real world and we're chasing the magic of a cure for. It's an awful disease. In a way, I wish I could show you pictures of the people who suffer. You cannot imagine how awful it is for some of us. I'm really lucky. Mine doesn't present as much, and it's just, it's awful. It's really awful. And it's physically debilitating, but also psychologically and emotionally, and it's not just for the patients, but for their families. And as Bill mentioned, I've met individuals who have to give up their dreams of becoming a dancer, or a world-class photographer who has it in her arms and she can't raise her cameras anymore. Or our friend who always dreamed of being in the Coast Guard, and he can't do that anymore. I mean, can you imagine? Really think about that. How painful that would be. And that you just have to face reality and create a new life for yourself. All the while yearning for what it was supposed to be and what it can never be. I tell them when we go to Congress and lobby, it's amazing, you know, I feel like I have two lives, you know, in the entertainment and then being in the real world with people who are facing real life-threatening things, and it's been very humbling to get to know them. And I've always told them their pain is their power. If they can harness what they're going through in their lives and share that with people that they meet, that's how we're going to spread the word. That's how we're going to educate people. And for them too, they need to come out and not be afraid to stay in the, you know, to come out. They don't need to stay in the dark. They have to have the courage, and it takes tremendous courage for some of these people. I don't know if Bill said this, but in 4 years of medical school, young doctors spend 15 minutes on the lymphatic system, period. So that means that it's not on state licensing exams, and that means that if someone comes to them with symptoms, they don't know what to say. They'll say, go home. One doctor said, go home and stand on your head. And nobody takes them seriously, and the years go by, and the years go by, and it's progressive, and it gets worse and worse, and it's at later stages. It leaves the skin, I've seen this before, like wood. And at that stage, it's impossible to reverse it. Anytime the lymphatic system is damaged, soldiers in war coming back if they've had traumatic wounds, men with prostate cancer, and men will never talk about it, but they'll get swollen legs. And one man that I met in DC last year we have a pep talk before we go into the legislative offices. Get that thing out of there. And there was a gentleman there with his son, and I went over and introduced myself. I said, and why are you here? And he said that he had lost 3 children before the age of 5 to pulmonary lymphedema. And at first I didn't hear him, and then it sunk in, and I was devastated. I mean, how do you live with that, and how do we help someone who's living with that? It's hard to stay in this fight because it's trying to educate people and tell them how important this is. It just gets pushed to the back burner. And it's very frustrating, but it's people like that gentleman that keep me going. And in my case, the surgeons removed 20 lymph nodes from under my arms, and I had a double mastectomy back 7 years ago, I guess it was. And my arms are still swollen, heavy. I get tired easily trying to hold things up, and I have to wear compression sleeves when I fly, and oftentimes I wear them at during the day, or if I feel like they're swelling more than they should, I go to Dr. Emily Eicher, who was really my angel and helped me get my arms back in shape after my surgery. But I'm lucky because I can afford the treatments, and she's only across town. Although I did say to her, you're way out in Santa Monica. She says, she's from Czechoslovakia. She says, darling, I have people come from Nigeria. So I said, okay, I got it. And at first, all I thought was, I got this. We're just going to call the American Medical Association. And we're going to have them send out a bulletin and teach their doctors the symptoms. And we even went and met this guy in Chicago. And we took one of our patients with us who was so eloquent and really talked. And he could see her whole body and what she was going through. And he was so sympathetic and so useless. I'm not kidding. I think Stan Roxon, who's here with us tonight, he said, why don't you write an article for the Journal? And they turned Stan down in 2 hours flat. And I think it's because cancer surgeons are focused on curing cancer, which is great. That's their job. But then after 90 days, you're out of here. And many of them think, it's cosmetic. It maybe it's not even a disease. It's no big deal. You're not going to die from it. And in reality, I think, they just don't want to admit that something they've done, even to cure you, has now caused a disease that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. It's a life sentence. And I just don't think they want to face that. Another problem with lymphedema is something called cellulitis, which is a bacterial infection that you can get. And lo and behold, I woke up one day and I had a big red mark like the size of a goose egg, raised and tender and painful. I had to go into the hospital, and it's a very serious infection because it has to be treated with antibiotics, and if that doesn't work, it can become sepsis, which is life-threatening. And in fact, I hope Emma and Tiffany, who are here tonight, don't mind me saying so, but in her 11 years, Emma's been in the hospital 9 times with cellulitis. And through it all, she's remained this ferocious advocate. I always tell her she's my hero, and she really is. And she said something amazing when she gave her speech at 7 years old at our 5K. She said, "If I can walk back and forth across the Brooklyn Bridge and do something hard for me, then maybe a smart scientist can do something hard for them and find a cure for this in my lifetime." I want to leave you with a little hope. I mean, there is hope. You know, as I mentioned, Dr. Stan Roxon is here with his lovely wife, Shauna. They came all the way from Stanford University. He's our medical consultant, and he has the Centers for Lymphatic and Venous Disorders at Stanford University. And Stan, you've taught me so much. I have a medical dictionary on my iPad. I can't read it, but I have it, so. And I have to thank Nancy Gray of the Gordon Research Conference. She's here tonight with her son, Kevin, I think it is, who I met. And Nancy's been indispensable because she's helped us get our foot in the door to so many different institutions and doctors and researchers, and we're learning so much thanks to her. And I have to thank you, Nancy, you're incredible. I also have to thank New York State Assembly member Linda Rosenthal. She has been with us from the very beginning. And you're a great lady, Linda, and together with hard work with Bill and some of Linda's staff, we actually passed a bill, a law has become law in New York State that clinics and doctors and hospitals have to provide people who are at risk for lymphedema with a pamphlet explaining everything. We've had a lot of support from the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Griffin Rogers of the NIDDK and Dr. Gary Gibbons of Heart, Lung, Blood. I just think they're climbing on our bandwagon here, and that's wonderful because they're very powerful, brilliant men. Dr. Dhruv Singhal at Harvard Medical School is working towards creating one of LE&RN's circles, centers of excellence, and someday, which would be really cool, people can call a 1-800 number and get help right away. And as Bill mentioned, we got to do the CDC video message. But the brightest hope of all is this community of brave individuals. We grow in numbers every year. They live with lymphedema, we live with lymphedema, and they fight tirelessly every day. And some of them have all traveled to be here tonight. Bill mentioned quite a few. If we've missed anybody, forgive me, but you are the heart and soul of this deal. And what you all have done by being here tonight and supporting us will help us make money for research grants that will unlock the secrets to a system that may impact other illnesses like cancer and multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's. We joined a study at UVA. They got all up in the head where the lymph system is, and they're starting to figure out how Alzheimer's works. So it's a magnificent field, really, to be getting into. And to close, I just have to say I never wanted to have breast cancer. I don't want to have lymphedema. But I've discovered that I'm very grateful to be here tonight and to stand here with you. And on behalf of my community, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And now it is my honor from the 24-Hour Plays and everyone at the Lymphatic Education and Research Network to award you, Kathy Bates, as 2019's Artistic Advocate.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.